mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Friday, I told you that you would hear me complain very little about gas prices if we weren't buying oil from Russia. So I'm not. But what I will tell you is every day I will try to update you on the most affordable places to buy gas in and around Ocala. If you want to ride that extra mile to get some cheaper gas, here's the places to do it. The BP on Marion Oaks Boulevard. It's the only gas station, according to Gas Buddy, in Marion County that's under $4. It's at $3.99. Metro Gas on 7th, Northeast 7th Street, it's $4.18. The Pilot, the Loves Travel, and the Pilot, those three, they're all on 326 right there at the interstate, $4.19 a gallon. The Shell and Circle K on Northeast Jacksonville Road, both of them, they're at $4.19. The Citgo at East Silver Springs Boulevard out past the Dairy Queen, it's $4.19. The Chevron in Northwest Blitzton Road, 3901 Northwest Blitzton Road, it's $4.19. The Pure Gas Station at 1301 Northeast 8th Ave, it's $4.22. And finally, the Quick King on Oak Road is $4.29. Everything is more than that. So there are your top 10 places for cheapest gas in Marion County, according to Gas Buddies. We'll get back to that in a moment. Good morning. You're on Ocala Talks.
Good morning, Tom. Sonny calling. I get a kick out of Washington blaming the oil companies for this fiasco.
Yeah. Now they say it's the oil company's
They got
fault.
9,000 leases. Yeah, they got a lease, but they're not guaranteed that the land they took a lease out on is going to have anything under it.
By the way, Sonny.
Whether it's gas or oil.
By the way, those leases, those permits are just to drill to see if it's there. Then they have to go back and get a permit to bring it out of the ground.
Well, the only thing I know is they're very misleading, this people in government here today. And that leads me to one conclusion, I should say. The largest, most dangerous anti-American government in the world is in Washington, D.C. I don't care what anybody says. Come after me. I don't care.
You can make a pretty good
People
argument
are
for
already
that.
telling me you're going to see black helicopters over your house. But the point of the matter is, this government is letting the American people down to no end. And we got very few Americans up there in Washington as far as I'm concerned. The Pentagon is led, I don't know who filled the Pentagon up, but the two main names up there, I wouldn't let them lead a troop of Boy Scouts. We're in deep trouble here because of what's going on in Washington. I just can't believe it.
We are in a mess, Sonny. I'm not going to argue that point with you. I'm in lockstep with you there. That we're being led by three blind mice. That's what's happening up there.
No, the three blind mice are puppets for the unseen underlings there, what they call the swamp. Anyway, have a great weekend, Tom.
Thanks, Sonny. You know, Sonny, what Sonny's referring to is Jim Psaki, the press secretary, said when asked about the oil, she goes, ask the oil companies. They got over 9,000 leases that they haven't even started drilling on. And Galen and I talked about this yesterday. That's misleading because they do have over 9,000 leases that they have not permits that they have not acted on yet. But that's just to drill to see if there is oil there. Then once they find oil, if they find oil, they have to go back and get a permit to then drill to get it out of the ground. This is not what they're saying is these leases are just a test. They're not actually there to pull oil out of the ground. So what they're telling you is accurate. There are over 9,000 permits that have been granted by the Biden administration on federal and tribal lands for oil, but it's just to look to see if oil's there. Then if you find oil, you have to go back and request the ability to bring it out of the ground. Let's see how those permits go. But it's all how you spin it. And it looks like there's the oil companies are doing this, but it's not. That's disingenuous on the Biden administration. These permits are just to find out if there's oil there. Then you got to go back and ask permission to get it out of the ground. Let's see how many permits the Biden administration issues that actually gives permission to start putting the oil in barrels. That's the key here, and that's not happening right now. That's why you see gas prices. One of the reasons and gas prices is speculative. The uncertainty of the world. The United States by itself doesn't control gas prices, but it can control the gas prices in this country if it would drill for more oil in this country and become less dependent on the world's speculative oil deposits. Because right now, because we're dependent on other countries, the price fluctuates and we have no control over the price. If we were producing our own crude oil that we could refine into gasoline, instead of being dependent on the other oil sources, we can control the prices in our country for certain. But we're not doing that. Executive orders shut all that down as soon as Joe Biden became president. He said he was going to do it. That was his campaign. Was if he wins, the first thing he's doing is stopping all this unneeded oil drilling. And he did. And then a madman like Putin holds the world hostage, and people get scared because he produces a lot of oil. People get frightened, and they speculate, and oil prices go up. That's how the stock market works, folks. Some people get scared. Some people aren't scared. It fluctuates back and forth over fear. That's where we're at right now. Good morning. This is Ocala Talks.
Sonny again. The reason why they shut down the pipeline, not the Keystone, and I think there was 2 or 3 others, is because Warren Buffett owns almost all the tank cars in this country, and he's the head of that railroad, that SBF or something or other. I forget the initials. So he's hauling oil. And didn't they have quite a few accidents a couple of years ago?
They did. Where tanker trains derailed and oil tankers caught on fire?
Yep, you got it.
They did.
So, really, the pipelines are not working.
Well, you don't want
they're the safest things going.
Sonny, you don't want the caribou to bump its head walking under a pipeline. The caribou. We got to protect the caribou, Sonny. We don't want a polar bear to accidentally scratch its back on one of these pipelines and get a little oil in its white fur. Calm down, Sonny. What do you do? You trying to change the new world order, Sonny?
I prefer the old world order.
I'm sure you would. Thanks for the call, Sonny. But Sonny's right. That people erroneously think the Keystone Pipeline, shutting it down, caused some of this. Keystone Pipeline wasn't fully built yet. It cost more in jobs than it did in oil production. But he did shut down other pipelines that were pumping oil. And he shut down oil drilling on federal lands that were pumping oil. And he shut down offshore drilling that Trump had opened back up for rigs that were pumping oil. He made us go from oil independent to oil dependent again. That's a problem. And Jim Psaki said why it's a problem. We'll get into that later after this timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.